505. Tego, Tracy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good as usual. Always happy to be here, Eddie. The best radio station in the West, right here.
Yeah, and the other thing is Tracy actually helped me locate. We were going to preparing offers and getting ready, and she was at the ready. So her and her team can get you ready. If you're looking at a home and they're going to get you guys qualified, you are basically set to go, folks. And thank you, Tracy, for your help on that. We were looking at a beautiful, I guess it's called a Mossman home.
Yeah, Mossman's the builder.
And I got to just very quickly start off with my experience. Which, I haven't been out to look at homes, but I've been just sort of perusing, and then, of course, had the Save Search that you guys sent me, that you continue to send me. I think you have two different ones that you guys send me. And we looked at that house, and they had a scheduled open house from 1 to 4. The entire cul-de-sac was full, 100%, full, and then spilling out onto the streets. Everybody was signed in. I want to say through the first hour and a half that we were there was more than probably 40 different showings, way more than 100 people who had gone through the house. Folks, I'm telling you, it's something that I've never seen in my entire life. I couldn't even understand it or comprehend it, and it is absolutely a seller's market. So if you're looking to go ahead and get the most for your home, now is the time to do it, but you got to price it right. And it was a very
and can I just say it's not just pricing it right. There's more to it than that. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that. But there is a whole strategy around that for sure.
You guys are the experts, so we're going to let you at it today. I just wanted to kind of talk about the situation as it were out there. In this edition, we have reasons to own your own home, non-financial reasons, National Homeownership Month, surprising stats in the Albuquerque housing market, and monsoon season and roofs. We saw a little bit of that this week. I'm glad you're addressing that. And what is an escrow? Not to mention the homes of the week and the open houses. As always, Tego and Tracy here to give you all of this week's real estate material. I don't think we could ever encompass everything in a half hour, but they certainly seem to try to do it each and every week. Tego, Tracy, take it away.
We do make that attempt. Every month I'll do a little video that I post, and you can find it on our YouTube channel. You can find it on my Facebook or Twitter, just talking about what happened in the previous month, some stats on the real estate market. And every month Tracy's like, keep it down to 3 minutes. And
no, 2 minutes.
2 minutes, and it's just impossible. It's just not possible. There's too much to talk about.
However, the one that you posted yesterday on Facebook was about 8 minutes. I watched every minute of it, and it was so good because, Tego, you pointed out so many things that aren't in the general media. No. It's not the news stories about our housing market that you're going to find elsewhere. No. You dig deeper, and you go for stats that are really interesting and not necessarily the headline, right? So you go deep.
Now that you've teased that, let me give one out to everybody out there that's couple things that are really telling about what's going on in the market. We just heard Eddie's story about going to a house and cars lined up around the cul-de-sac. That's pretty commonplace right now in the market.
Yep.
I pulled out a couple stats just to give you an idea of some things that are going on. In May 2021, we had our list price to sell price ratio was 101%. Okay, that's a pretty normal stat that we look at, that list to sell price ratio. Customarily, it dropped as low as 5%, something back, when the market was really down. But, traditionally it's somewhere around 97, 98%, right? There's a little bit of discount off of list normally. Well, we're at 101% in May. But it doesn't tell the whole story. And so what I did is I went into the MLS, extrapolated a bunch of data, and found that of all the homes that closed in May, which means these are homes that probably pended sometime in, March, April, let's say, late March and April, 50% of them sold for over list price. That is unheard of.
Yeah, it is unheard of.
And that is, very telling about what's going on in our market. And then, so Tracy, let me ask you this, because I'm sure some of you are going, well, why don't you just list them for more? Why aren't you just listing them at a higher price since they're going to sell for a higher price? Well, why don't we?
Well, we could try, right? But what we have found is if we price them for the real market, people do pay more typically, but we don't.
When you say for the real market, what does that mean?
I mean, we're looking at historical data, right? We're looking at most recent sales in the area and saying, okay, a month ago, this house nearby was similar. It sold for X. So we're pricing it based on what is showing up.
Yeah.
But when we price them over that, we have seen over and over again, even in the last 2 months, right, Tego, that the houses that we start too high end up getting price reductions. And I bet you have a stat for that.
Well, I was just going to say there were about 1,200, let's say, give or take, closed sales in the Albuquerque market in May. And there were, like I said, 50% of them sold for over the list price. 18% of them sold for 5% or more over list price. So it's not just like, a few dollars. We're talking...
Of the 15%, of the 50% that sold over list price, 18%.
No, of the 100%.
Of the 100% that closed.
Yeah, 18% of them sold for 5% or more. Yep.
Yeah, which is significant. I mean, when you think about a couple $100,000 house, 5% is, $15,000, $20,000 more.
So let's back up from this story and say, okay, we're hearing all these stories, Tracy. We know, 20, 30 offers on a house, people lined up on the cul-de-sac for an open house, home selling over list price. The stories go on and on about how frantic it is. Buyers that have written 10 offers and can't win a home.
And using the word win, I hate to hear that.
I know.
But be selected.
Yeah. Be selected as the one that gets to purchase the home.
Right.
Those stories are true and they're all out there. But there is a flip side to it. And the thing that I found interesting, there were about 200 homes that closed in May that at some point had a price reduction, meaning they did start too high. And that's what you were talking about earlier.
I knew you'd have a stat for it.
Of course I do.
So 200 houses in the last month, right?
Yeah.
That sold and closed had a price reduction while they were listed for sale. So
so that whole pricing strategy, it's not just about throwing any number out. There is a whole kind of art and science to it to net the homeowner the most amount of money that they can.
And so it's always hard for us to talk about ourselves and tout our own horn.
Well, let me just mention, we have the radio ad that we've been running on Eddie Station here for a while now, where you're talking about, don't just trust that, online algorithm to tell you what your home's worth, because every home is very different, right? Right.
And don't just trust that your realtor is going to do the maximum marketing to net you the most, right?
Yeah, because the truth is, stick a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS.
Take a photo with your iPhone.
Take a couple photos. Depending on what price you put on it, it's gonna sell.
We have a really interactive, cool tool that we're using these days where somebody gets a floor plan when they click on our properties that we list for sale. They click on the virtual tour. You can see the floor plan alongside the interior of that room that you can look around real time-ish like. And then you can click so you know how that room interacts with the other rooms and everything. That's
what I was going to say. Is anybody out there that, you've shopped for homes or you're looking for homes, you'll see a house and you'll start looking through the photos, whatever, 10, 20, 30 photos, whatever they are. And you're like going, okay, does that room attach to that room or does that go that way or that way? This eliminates that guesswork because you actually have the floor plan and photos side by side, so you can see that.
Not just photos, it's immersive. Like literally the floor plan's there, and when you click on one of the rooms, it takes you to that room and you can navigate and scan and look up and down and all around and see where you're at in the house.
And it's interesting, we were having this team meeting the other day with our group here and just saying, okay, are we doing this with everything? And I said, yes. I mean,
we're not just doing it on luxury homes.
No. I think our job is to get people the most money, net them the most money in their pocket when they sell the home. And so, this is a part of it.
And that's where I was going before. I was going to say, this is Tracy and Tego Venturi with Venturi Realty Group, the number one real estate group in New Mexico by number of homes sold in 2020.
We sold more homes in 2020 than any other group in New Mexico.
Despite other advertising that you might hear. So Tego, we do more, right? I mean, there's a reason we're day after day getting more money for our sellers by the amount of resources we're using to invest in the marketing and making sure that the most number of buyers are exposed to a house that's for sale. And I looked up that house that Eddie was talking about on the cul-de-sac. And of course it did go pending. They were, it was over the Labor Day holiday. Yeah. We were out of sell range a lot. And Eddie and I were messaging every time I was doing the whole standing around with my arms and legs in the air, trying to make sure that we could hear each other. And talked to the other realtor a few times and knew they'd already had a few offers and kind of where it was at. But of course, they said we're going to be looking at all offers on Tuesday after the Monday holiday. And yes, it did go into pending sale then. But I know from talking to the other agent that, it's going to be one of those in the 50% that are selling for above list price. But, that's how the gems are. And that was a gem.
Yeah,
so.
Gems are gems. Tracy, I don't know if you knew this. I think you do. June is National Home Ownership Month.
I did not know that.
Well, there you go.
Now I know.
So, National Association, our National Association of Realtors, really wants to put a focus on home ownership and being a homeowner and how important it is to so many things. And I'm all about the financial, and I always talk about the financial benefits of home ownership. And I will say, I was on a side note on that, I told you about, I think you listened, I made you that podcast from, I can't think of his name and I'm sorry, the CEO of HomeWise.
Right. From Santa, who's based out of Santa Fe.
Yeah, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and they really specialize in
home ownership.
Yeah, home ownership, helping people that maybe won't otherwise have the opportunity to participate in home ownership have that opportunity.
That would be priced out of the market.
Yeah. And they have a whole thing. They have coaching and they have a bunch of things to help people get into home ownership. And he said something that's really stuck with me, and that is that home ownership is affordable housing. Because he talks about,
how much rents have increased.
How much rent has increased, but that when you're a homeowner, for the most part, your cost of housing, this is a national stat, your cost of housing is 10% less than renters as a whole. And I thought that was important. But okay, so I was going to say the non-financial, and here we go. I'm going all financial on us.
That was Jesse Abrams, I believe, there we go. With HomeWise.
Yes.
So it was really interesting. And since you brought it up, let's talk about that just a little bit longer. Okay. So,
it's so funny. We started it off saying we're not going to talk about the financial reasons for home ownership, which there's a bunch of them. We'll get to that. But go ahead. No, this is good.
Well, one of the things that really struck me that I hadn't really, I've heard it, but the way he said it, I really understood it. And I probably won't be as eloquent as he was in his podcast or the interview.
It was a podcast, yeah.
But it was an interview. But so he said, if you look at generational wealth and going back to the 1940s and 50s and 60s, when women and people of color perhaps were not allowed to purchase homes or were not allowed to have loans, right? They weren't given the opportunity in those families to build wealth through owning real estate. So when the grandparents and parents of those folks passed on, they weren't leaving a house that had $100,000 or $200,000 worth of equity to the family to continue on with their wealth building, because they weren't homeowners, they were renters. And when he looked at how rents have increased proportional to housing costs, rents have increased considerably, and housing costs are still more affordable, especially in our market, than renting. Right? Yeah. Rents go up every year. Your mortgage, once you lock it in, tends to stay the same except for taxes and insurance.
He said we talked about that. Just like it's so funny how you hear something and it just clicks and you go, Yeah, your mortgage cost doesn't reset every year. Your rent, for the most part, resets every year.
Right. But the whole thing about how generational wealth and building wealth in families and being able to leave it for the next generation, some sort of amount. And, not everybody leaves the value of their equity in their home to somebody. A lot of times they turn that into cash to take care of themselves in older age, right?
Yeah.
So that they can maintain a lifestyle, right?
For sure. And that's the reverse mortgage thing.
Or a home equity line of credit.
It's kind of the same thing. But
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Just home equity line of credit and a reverse mortgage are
very different.
Similar, but different.
Yeah, very different.
It's tapping into the equity in your home. Okay. So the non-financial reasons to be a homeowner. And I know there's a bunch of people out there that think we shouldn't be saying that people should buy homes right now because the market's gone crazy and prices have gone through the roof and there's going to be a bubble that's going to burst. Well, I think the question you always have to ask is, okay, well, where are you going to live?
You're going to live somewhere? Yeah. Are you going to pay money to live somewhere? Should you be paying somebody else's mortgage or should you be paying your own? For sure.
And I believe if you're going to, be in your home for a while, you're going to be just fine, right? And okay, so non-financial reasons to own a home. Privacy.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your place.
Having a space that's safely your own.
Yep.
You can choose who's there. You don't have a landlord saying, I'm giving you 24 hours notice. We need to come in and inspect your place or whatever.
Yep. It's yours. It's your private space. I think stability is a big deal. And I know, that whole thing about Maslow's, hierarchy of needs and that, okay, once you have food and shelter and whatever, the next thing you need is security, and stability goes along with that. And having a house and stability to go with that, I think is a big deal. One of the things that I think people overlook is personal expression, right? You don't have to ask the landlord if you can have, the dog, right? You don't have to ask the landlord if, I can paint that one wall orange, right? I don't have to ask the landlord if I can put a gazebo in the backyard if I want, or the big built-in kitchen that everybody wants right now.
Which you're not going to do.
Outdoor kitchen.
Right, outdoor. Yeah. Which you're not going to do because you can't take it with you, right?
Right.
You're not going to invest in improving the property very much versus if it's your own, right?
I think another one that's good here is accomplishments. And I would add just pride and, feeling good about your successes and being a homeowner.
Right. And pride in having a legacy for your family of ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
Comforts.
You can enhance it and make yourself as comfortable as you want, right?
Make it what you want.
If you want
right?
that orange wall, you can make it to your comfort, right?
I think this last one, it says community. You think about what's happened over the last year and the lack of and need for social interaction, right? And being part of a community, being part of a social network. And when you become ownership in a community, that's what happens.
Right. What's interesting, kind of a side note on that, Tego, is when you buy a new home in a new home neighborhood, you tend to get to know your neighbors really well because everybody's kind of moving in at the same time, because normally D.R. Horton, Pulte, Abrazo, Twilight, they kind of build up a street, right? And they kind of try to get out of people's way so that they don't just build a random house here or there over their new neighborhood. They try to kind of build out so they get construction moved away from where everybody's moving in. So a lot of times they're finishing homes all within the same few weeks right up the street. And so the neighbors or the people moving in all tend to get to know each other, because when you move into an established neighborhood, they all know each other. They've already been there 20 years. They don't get together anymore. You think about our neighborhood, Tego. When we first moved in, we were the first or second people in that neighborhood.
We both moved in,
like the same week.
Like the same week,
right. Yeah. I always say we were first, but I think their moving truck might have been right in front of us. But,
by 100 yards.
100 yards. But when we moved in, I used to spend a lot of time. I had a community list. On 4th of July, all the little kids in the neighborhood, we'd get together. Yep. We'd decorate bikes with ribbons and flyers, and everybody'd get dressed up, and they'd get
Until
their
there
pets.
was that one neighbor that shot that bottle rocket into our tree and almost burned our tree in our front yard down.
Well,
but that's a whole different conversation.
But that didn't stop it. But for several years, probably until I got too busy in real estate, honestly, I would organize neighborhood get-togethers. We would do holidays. We would have happy hours. We would get together with our neighbors. Now it's been 19, 20 years,
20,
right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I probably don't know everybody anymore in our 28-house neighborhood, right? And we haven't had a 4th of July parade. We used to get the Corrales police and fire trucks to come to our little neighborhood and do those things. But, I mean, you know, community's huge.
Community's a big deal. And again, I think people are yearning for that after COVID, right? And just getting back out. And we've all seen that, right? In the restaurants and the shopping, and, you know, people just want to be out. You know, we live down here, and our office is down here off Alameda near the river, where Albuquerque Open Space is.
Albuquerque Open Space?
Did I pronounce that right?
I have no idea. All I know is how my brain pronounces it, and Albuquerque sounds good.
Yeah, so it's, you know, Alameda and Rio Grande, and there's the parking lot there. And
yeah, oh my gosh.
Every weekend, that parking lot is overflowing.
It's not just weekends anymore. And, you know...
For people that want to take the Bosque Trail.
Right.
Yeah.
We take the Alameda Bridge westbound every day, right?
Yes.
And it's amazing how so many people are still hanging out along the banks of the Rio Grande and enjoying the water with their dogs and having picnics and setting up shade structures. And to me, that's one of the best things that's come out of COVID.
That was a great segue, because we can talk about how high the river is this weekend.
Right now, yeah.
And why is it high this weekend? Because monsoon is back.
Oh, let's talk about rain.
Yeah.
Hail and rain that we had in the Albuquerque metro area. I know we had it all along the Rio Grande Valley and Santa Fe and points east and west.
Yeah, the other day, there was another cell that rolled through Albuquerque. What was that, Thursday night? It was pretty intense.
It was a boomer.
It didn't hit where we live, but I know some parts of town got some deluge, as they say.
We had some loud thunder and lightning, like 9:30, 10, that our dogs were not happy about.
Well, it's great to get the moisture, but let's talk about the home ownership part of this.
The home ownership, right. So roofs, we've talked about this a lot lately.
Yep.
It's like time to get the roofer out, and I hope you already did it. Because with what we know is this week, the roofers are very busy, right? We had huge amounts of rain on Memorial Day.
Well, and what we had, Tracy, is we had a long time with no rain, no moisture. And then all of a sudden we get all of this all at once. And roofs over time, they dry out, they crack. There's, seams that crack and open up. And we don't know it until it rains.
So...
Get up on your roof.
Get up on your roof.
Oh, wait, let me rephrase that. Getting on your roof could be very dangerous. So please,
disclaimer.
Please have a professional do it if you're uncomfortable. I'm not recommending that you get on your roof.
Yeah, there you go. We're recommending a licensed professional. So it's only going to get worse, right? Usually July is when we get the monsoons. So I don't know if we're going to have more early, but it'd be great if we had an unusually large amount of rain.
It seems like we're in a monsoon pattern already.
Yeah, it's humid this week.
We'll see. We'll see for sure.
So, good timing to, if you didn't have a leak, still a good time to get somebody up there on your roof. And if you were where there was massive hail, because I know our house, it hailed for a long, long time, not your typical one little cloud passing by.
No. We had an inch deep of hail at our house, whatever day that was, Tuesday? Monday?
On Memorial Day. So you might want to get your roof checked to make sure if you have hail damage or not. So sorry if you do. And hopefully you've got good insurance.
Let's just talk about that, because hail damage, what happens if the hail is big enough and coming down hard enough, it will, the lack of a better word, divot your shingles or divot your paper, like if you have a tar gravel roof that we have a lot of here, or what they call a rolled bitumen, like a rolled shingle roofing material, depending those hail balls could actually put holes or at least dent that material. So you might want to get it checked out, talk to your insurance about it as well. And just one last thing on this whole subject is, Bill Tobin, our friend who's a farmer's agent here in town, is just talking about how, insurance companies are raising their prices because the cost of repairs, cost of reconstruction, all that stuff has gone up. And so you do want to check with your insurance agent and make sure that you have your replacement coverage is in line with the current market.
Right. And don't file an insurance claim unless you really, really, really need to, because it will affect your rates for a long time. So if you have a $500 or $1,000 repair, I would suggest you not turning it in.
And that could go with you to future properties too.
Right, because it goes by person, not just the house.
By person, right.
So I'm going to get...
Can I just say, we're not saying don't file an insurance claim. Just think about it. Don't nickel and dime it, or it could affect your insurance rates.
Right. I'm going to go completely off topic. I'm going to talk about the Hyatt Tamaya Resort. Yeah. So the word came out this week, and I just got to mention it here. So they filmed The Bachelorette there this spring. People were always going, how come?
You knew something was going on, but you didn't know what was going on.
I didn't know. All I knew was we tried to book rooms and looked, and it was booked out.
Yeah.
There was no rooms. And so, it was still COVID, and got online, and there was some rumors. There's somebody that's always on some blogger or somebody who always is trying to figure out what's going on with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. And that person on the internet said they were filming The Bachelorette at the Hyatt.
Okay.
So I didn't know for sure what was going on, but there was speculation because we were trying to put some gifts together to give nights at the Hyatt to some of our top agents on our team.
Yep.
And we couldn't get a room available. So anyway, they finally have come out this week. Everybody who works there has got it posted all over their Facebook, and it's so exciting. And I know it was in the journal and everything, that starting Monday night, The Bachelorette season whatever, episode 1, they're at the Tamaya. And we know that with COVID, they didn't go a lot of exotic places probably. So I saw some of the trailers for it, and you saw beautiful welcoming ceremonies with Native Americans, blessings, and they've got the horses, they've got the golf course, they've got the bosque, they've got pools, and the resort looks stunning in the trailer. So I've not been a big Bachelorette fan, but I am going to watch.
Well, I think it'll be
see
good.
New Mexico.
I think it'll be good for New Mexico. Show New Mexico, it's really a beautiful place out there.
Well,
and I think
it is.
that really is going to come through. So
I would say if you're thinking of a staycation at the Tamaya this summer, get it booked today. Get it booked before Monday night, before The Bachelorette, and everybody's going, oh my gosh, I need to go to New Mexico and stay there.
And that is a great staycation because it's, for most parts of Albuquerque, it's, 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
And but you feel like you're in a whole nother world. So.
Totally. So love the Tamaya. The patio there, even if you just go out for a Friday, Saturday night and have dinner or sit on the patio, but this summer, it's just so beautiful. It's like such an escape. You feel like you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Make reservations though, because they are really busy suddenly. So get a reservation and go enjoy the Tamaya, Eddie.
Eddie, we know you watch The Bachelorette every time it comes around. So this I'm sure you already had this set on your
You've already got it
DVR.
recorded.
Yeah.
I'm all over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything had to do with The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, it'll be interesting to see how they represent New Mexico, and how it comes off. So it'll be interesting.
Well, the only way it can be represented, it's the best place in the world in so many ways. And I could tell you this, I adjust my shoe here. The Twin Warriors, the golf course, it's a long golf course. It's probably the best golf course to play besides Paco. Paco is the top 25 golf course.
It's tough
in the country. Great real estate out there, as you know, new ownership, with higher fees, but
new housing too.
Yeah, Twin Warriors is quite approachable, and between that and I'll tell you, I know as you guys go through the bar area, that's right there on the entrance, that just to the right side, they've been burning the smoke, and that when you stay in one of the hotel rooms over there at the Tamaya, they have all of the the shampoos and the scents, and they're all pine and needles and things like that. It's really something. So it is.
Well,
one
thing we did about a month ago, we went out and did a trail ride at their horse stable.
We
Oh, okay.
took 6 or 8 people from our team and had that, and then went and had dinner, and then went and had our moment around the campfire. Did a little kumbaya after dark around the campfire.
Cool.
That was really good team building.
Yeah, it's one of the best places around, and where the horse stalls are at is just outside and overlooking probably the best look of all of the Sandias, and right next to the golf course. So
yeah, it's
I
beautiful.
mean, it's really second to none. That's very cool that you guys are advancing that, and Santa Ana golf course is also right there. So essentially, you play in one day. It's kind of crazy. 48 holes.
Yeah, there's
20,
27 at Santa Ana and 18 at Twin Warriors, all right there. And then just get a room for the night, go soak in the hot tub, have a dinner, enjoy the pinon and incense smell, and live large.
I can't do any more of this. I'm out for the rest of the week, maybe a whole 2 weeks at that. Tego and Tracy, how can people reach you?
We are Venturi Realty Group of Keller Williams Realty, 505-448-8888, and welcomehomeabq.com.